All right. Well, this is Jimmy, and this is Captain Spaz here. And what we're going to go over is the Book of Durango, which was written just over 2 years ago by Eloise Gingrich, a old-time member of the Church of God. And there was a video detailing all of this stuff on YouTube a while back, but it's been deleted. It's not there anymore, and it was great. It went over the work that Lorne Armstrong did for a woman in Maine right before, maybe a year before he got arrested with the To Catch a Predator sting. So this was up in Maine.
Work he didn't do.
Yes. Sorry, it is about the work he didn't do. It's about a job that he was going to perform, a addition to a home that he was going to perform. He and his company, a construction job, where he basically took the money and then left. So that's the gist of it. I'm not going to spoil it right now because we'll go into all the little details. This is great. Eloise did a great job putting this book together, and Betty's great. She'll talk about it with you. She's on Facebook at the Durango Mango page. Is that right?
Yes.
And Durango Mango was her band. She was in a band.
Right. She's also on YouTube. She's in the comments often.
She's in the comments often, yes, and she has videos on YouTube too of her band, right?
Right.
Yeah. No, she's super nice. Yeah. And she hates Lorne as much as anybody out there, probably more than anybody out there.
And she also did an interview with Sam Pendleton.
She did. She did a great interview with Sam Pendleton. Again, this was probably 2 years ago or so. There's a great interview on Sam's channel with her. And she talks about what we're going to talk about. But here we'll go in with receipts and everything. We'll really get into that. Because a lot of people have been asking about this, and they forgot about this book. So we're going to go over this book here. Lorne was had a company called A1 Septic Services. A1 because that comes up first in the phone book, right?
Right.
And he did septic work, and I don't think it's in here, but I think he did a septic job for Betty, and then she had mentioned she was going to do an addition to her house, and he said that he was also an experienced carpenter and could do the addition for her. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Okay, good. So he wanted money up front. He wanted, I think they signed a contract that he would put this addition on the house, and it would be about $60,000. And that sounds about right. I mean, give or take. I'm not, an expert on this. I've had work done before. And you kind of got to get a bunch of estimates. I don't know if she got a bunch, but you need to get a bunch because somebody tells you a price and you don't know if that's true. So you call some other companies and ask them what their price is. And if they're all kind of the same, then you know it's real. If somebody comes in a lot lower, then you
generally want to get a bunch, and you want to go for the middle one. You don't want to go with the guy that's charging you a lot, and you don't want to go with the guy that's charging you too little.
That's a good way to think about it. So we're in charge of $60,000, which is probably in the neighborhood of what it should be. And he gets $500 when they sign it. And then he gets a check for $10,000. And then he gets a check for $20,000. And then he asks for more money. And she, realizes that she's being scammed. So he takes off and doesn't come back. The first receipt we have here, this is funny. This is from Lakeview Lumber Company. Spaz, are you looking at this?
Yes, I am.
Excuse me. Betty writes here on the red on the left is what Betty is in Betty's words, and she writes that this is really messed up. The original amount reads $752. Then, after all the scratching out and rewriting, it turned into $995.25. Please keep in mind we did ask for receipts as soon as we started to get suspicious, but he didn't come up with them until he was really pressed. So this is a receipt from a lumber company. And it looks like he gets 96 pieces of wood at $2.95 each, another 96 pieces of different wood at $3.99 each, and then 2 big pieces of wood for $89 each. And then I think he's adding in a stapler and staples.
Yes.
And then probably delivery and tax. If I don't know if Lorne wrote this up himself, if he stole a receipt and just wrote it himself, or this is the actual receipt of the store. This is dated 12/22/06, so this is about almost 10 months before, about 10 months before Lorne got arrested. And then cash on delivery $995.25. If I get a receipt from a store for a project like this, where I could put it on my taxes and stuff, I would ask them for a little nicer receipt, preferably not a handwritten receipt. Okay, so she gives them $995.25. And then there's another receipt. You can't really read it here. Excuse me.
Take note of that, 12/22/06.
Okay. This one is for $308.55.
From J Value.
From J Value for more wood or something. Okay. So we have about $1,300 in parts. And then Lorne also gave her a note, and we'll see that note later. Lorne gave her a note for $1,700 to a man named Ronald Grover as half payment. He was going to come in and do the drywall work in January of 2007, although he never came. I don't know why they would pay him first for the drywall. What a lot of shady people do, and I have a friend that built a house, and the house was like half built, and then the company went out of business. And they gave them all the money for the house. And what they do is they owe people from past jobs, like they didn't pay their workers and things like that, or people they got the equipment from. And so they get the new job, get that money, and then they use that money to pay off the old job. And then they have no money to do their current job. But usually you pay these guys when they do the job. You shouldn't have to be paying $1,700 for a subcontractor a month before he comes. But a good carpenter.
Work is done.
Drywall is not that hard. If you call yourself a good carpenter, I would think you could put up some drywall yourself and save the money.
But, okay, so that receipt was from 12/22, and they were going to be ready for drywalling in January.
Yes. So that meant,
take to
I don't know.
It's going to be done in a week?
Well, it could have been the end of January, too. But it's weird to do a job in Maine in the middle of winter, but whatever. There was an addition. So, I mean, I guess they can put that up in a month. You know, they can put that up in a month if you work hard. So Betty is talking about, she brought this to a television station called
On Your Side.
On Your Side, right. Where I live, they have 7 On Your Side, which is Channel 7. And you can call up and complain about a business, and they'll send an obnoxious reporter and stick a microphone in the business owner's face, which is kind of fun to watch. But they wrote a letter about Lorne, who's going to go put a 12-by-60 addition onto their mobile home in Maine. He assured us that carpentry was his expertise. It didn't take us long to realize that the work crew, which is Lorne and his brother and his friend, were not at all experienced carpenters. Imagine having Lorne and his brother out in your backyard all day long. It's like smoking cigarettes and like cursing and swearing and, you know, being stupid.
It's like that phone call of them sending Roy out to the shed. So Lorne got $30,000. Then when they show up for about 3 hours a day, and then a month into the job, all that was constructed was a chipboard floor and beams for framing the walls. The roof had not been started yet. Lorne later says that he did the roof twice. Oh my God.
The roof said that it had not been started yet. Lorne then asked for another $10,000.
We refused because there was nothing to show for the money he had already taken. When we questioned why he needed more money, he told us that he had paid his workers and now needed the money for the roofing materials. We questioned how he could pay for work not produced. He told us that he trusted them. Lorne likes to trust everybody.
Yeah.
He told him from then on we would purchase the materials. All he needed to do was make a list.
So they wrote the television show about exposing this activity. They did call and they had an interview, but this was right after Lorne got arrested in Kentucky. So the station didn't want to do the show about Lorne since he was in jail awaiting trial in Kentucky. one, because it would probably be hard to get in touch with Lorne, and two, they didn't want to complicate his trial, the verdict.
Right.
So Lorne made a list because they didn't trust him. They have, it's starting to snow. They have a floor with no ceiling, so the snow is landing on their brand new floor. Lorne told them that the roofing trusses that's going to hold up the roof they had purchased, like Betty had purchased this, were the wrong size, and he's going to have to make new ones. Lorne gave them materials for the roof, and they called around to other places, and these people said, you know, this is not the correct way to make a roof. Whoever's doing this is pulling your leg here. They wouldn't give Lorne any more money, so then Lorne took off. Then Betty's husband had a heart attack. Then he had a stroke. He ended up dying not too long after that, which you know, Lorne could have, you know, all kidding aside, you know, Lorne's bullshit is causing a guy to, you know, have a heart attack right afterwards, and then shortly pay afterward. Lorne said he would pay back $20,000, and they would consider $10,500 as work already done, although they don't really consider it work, but they agreed, and then Lorne never paid anything back. Recently, due to the Ramona girlfriend issue, Ramona did tell him to pay Betty's money back, and he sent, I think it was $120. Is that right?
I think it's up to $120.
And he would always make a video about, you know, writing his $20 or $25 check and then sending it in the mail.
Well, he would make it be a Walmart transfer or something, and he would force Betty to drive all the way out to Walmart, which isn't close to her, for $20. Right. So how much is she spending in gas just to pick up $20?
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, right now it's probably too late, but at the time, well, no, I think they should probably do it. At the time, they took it to the Attorney General, and the Attorney General, you know, they're going to keep it as a civil case, and they get a mediator. Mediator talks to Lorne, and Lorne says he's going to pay it back. Okay, so they have that. Now, she could probably go to court,
right,
pay a fee, and have a judge order his wages garnished. But that's if he's, you know, working. I think that's probably something that she could do, because there is a civil judgment. So she tried to get him when he went down to Kentucky, and it would cost too much money. She hired lawyers, and they said, listen, it's going to be $1,000 to $2,000, and we can get a judgment, you know, a real judgment against you, but against Lorne. But
he has no money, so he can't even pay it.
You're gonna pay a lot of money, and then he's not going to pay anything back. It's like O.J. Simpson owes the Goldman family like $33 million. But, you know, it's one thing to have a judgment for that. It's another thing to actually collect on it.
Right.
Yeah. And they nailed Lorne, too, when he was in jail. This is funny. This is on page, I don't even know what page this is, but it's page down a little bit.
Page 12.
Page 12, he writes, this is on 11/17/08, so this is about a month after the sting. And he says, Eric and Betty, just letting you know that, yeah, I got your letter, exclamation point, and then Lorne, and he underlines this. Right? After I sent the letter telling him how we made life tough for us, he just writes, yeah, I got your letter. And the envelope is great. He's got some inmate mail. So that's him in jail waiting to go to trial. So they're going to go a little bit more into the work here. You know, he's saying that he had 3 people, $25 an hour, which is $75, working 6 hours per day, which is $450, for 20 days, which is $9,000. So that's $9,000 in labor.
Oh my God.
And then you had the parts up above, which was like $1,200, and then you had that $1,700 payment to the drywall guy. So I think that's how they're getting their total there.
But look at the dates. On 12/6, he got $500. On 12/7, he got $10,000. 12/15, $20,000. But on 12/22, he's buying materials. So what has he been doing since 12/6?
You know, it looks like, he and his brothers got most of this money. I don't think he was paying off an old job. I don't think he had other construction jobs. I think he, found out that he could get this job and they would give him money, and then, they had no skills to do this job. They didn't know what they were doing. And it was probably almost a good thing for Betty that he took off, because if he built the whole thing, it probably just would have caved in at the first snowstorm.
Well, what was he pretending to do for a month?
He's not a professional scammer. He's a pretty shitty scammer. And, what you do with these guys is you kind of got to be on top of them, unless they're a real company that, your neighbors have used and your friends have used, and you see them around town all the time. You might have a little more trust.
Yeah.
But, I know people that have hired, the cheapest guy, and they turn out to be maniacs that really don't know what they're doing. They haven't been scammed, but... Right.
Called To Catch a Contractor, which is basically what Betty needs, is where they bring the contractor they hired back in for like a new job to get a quote, and then they just confront them with the shitty work they've done. So he got $30,500. He bought $1,200 worth of shit. He has a receipt. Who knows if it's true that he gave $1,700 to some guy who he says is going to do drywall. Who knows if that's true? And then it's him and his brother and his friend out there. And who knows? Maybe they just split the money 3 ways. So they got $30,000. They gave away a couple grand, and they did. They did some work. Scam leader, so I'm sure he took the bulk of it.
Yeah, but he's also an idiot, and they could probably take that money from him too.
That's
We'll get the first 30, and you get the second 30. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So I'm sure that could happen as well.
Oh, this is funny. At the end, it's Betty telling him that his math is bullshit.
Exactly.
But the trusses, yeah.
Right. So his math is terrible. So he bought, some stuff. He bought some supplies, but they had a lot of supplies on site too. So they spent a little bit, but then Lorne's got, including the work that they did. Lorne's got almost $30,000. They split it 3 ways. Let's say $9,000 each. This is the receipt from. The drywall guy received one half down, $1,700 for mudding taping in Cambridge, scheduled for the end of January, from Ronald Grover. You can't get that money from Ronald because they never gave money to Ronald. They gave money to Lorne. And, Lorne did what he did to it. Mudding taping, yep.
Lorne never gave it to Ronald.
Here's a picture of the work they had done over the course of from 12/7 to 12/29.
So it took them a month to put up.
Yeah, 22 days, and they put in a floor. They put in the trusses for the roof, and Lorne says that he did the roof twice. They say they didn't do it. So I don't know what's going on with that. But they didn't do a whole lot of work.
Well, she wrote out a timesheet that she made them fill out, which I'm not finding. Oh, it's at almost the very last page.
All right, so you go through the rest of the pages. It's a lot about, Betty talking and the author of the book discussing the situation. But here's a written complaint that she did where she says, under the Book of Canaan here, we hired Lorne Armstrong on 12/6/06. We're building a 12-foot by 60-foot addition to King Model mobile home. And interior work and plumbing changeover from copper to PVC at our site in Cambridge, Maine. Already on site was approximately $5,500 worth of building materials supplied to us. So they gave Lorne $500 when they signed the contract, and the next day they give him $10, and then a week later they give him $20, which they believe was going to be to purchase all the materials needed to complete the job. So you figure probably half materials, half work, right?
Right.
So the job is not even close to being done. And then they ask for another $10,000 for material. And they're like, whoa, what happened? We just gave you $30,000. And he said, well, what I did with that $30,000 is I paid myself, my friend Tony Palmer, and my brother Paul Armstrong in advance. the job. Then I paid Ronald Grover $1,700 for the drywall work, and really no work has been done. So he's like, I trust these guys. I just pay them all first, and then I get the materials later, which is bullshit. I wonder, they probably would have just tried to keep milking her, right? But let's say Beatty said okay and gave him $10,000. They would probably still fart around for another couple of weeks and then ask for another $10,000.
Like, they aren't doing anything. They had a few beams up, and that's it.
Yeah. So they say they had bad work ethics and complete amateurism. They admitted they had not actually done this type of thing previously.
Oh, my God.
So we asked them to continue with the other projects they hadn't completed since the beginning of December 7th, which was finish framing and building for one. Paul Armstrong never returned to work after January 2nd. Lorne and Tony worked January 2nd, didn't show up or call on January 3rd, but did come back on January 4th, and it never worked for us again. No explanations. We left several messages concerning this.
Well, if you look at the timesheet, she said that they never wrote down when they were there in December, but she started in January. On the first day, Lorne worked from 9:45 a.m. and left at 3:11. And then the next day, they did not show. And then the day after that, which is Wednesday, 9:18 a.m. and left at 2:30. And then they just never came back after that. So as soon as she made them account for when they were there, they just stopped coming.
Right. In time, Lorne contacted us. Yep. Right.
11:30 to 12:30, they went for lunch on that day.
Nice. In time, Lorne contacted them and said he was ashamed and he wanted to make restitution. He agreed to pay back $20,000 and he apologized for all the trouble he caused, and he wanted to be friends. But she wants to recoup the money lost, especially she can say to pay someone else to repair the several mistakes and then complete Lorne's job. This is from July of 2007, so 6 months afterwards. They never filled out the time slips, right? Yep. Yeah.
Oh, he went for lunch too on the Tuesday. So he worked at 9:45, took lunch at 11:30 to 12:45, and then left at 3.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a tough day. It's hard work.
9:18 to 11:30 to 12:30 lunch, and then gone at 2:30.
Exactly. All right. What else? Do we have anything else to add on this?
I think that's it.
We'll put a link.
Oh, wait. He used to call Betty crying and apologizing, and once left her voicemail saying that he wants to pay her back, but all he has is a can of peas.
What a fucking asshole. All right, we'll put a link to this in the description.